They certainly look like the class of the Pac-12. USC at 4-0, taking on UCLA, and of course the traditional rivalry game. We got Matt Lowry on the line from Conquest Chronicles to break down the Trojans. Matt, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, thanks. How about yourself, Mark?
I'm good. I'm good. So this starts out every conversation just because of the situation here in 2020 with every team. It starts with personnel in regards to who's healthy. Are there going to be people coming back from the previous games losses, that sort of thing? So we've got a transfer portal situation, and we also have hopefully some personnel coming back that missed the Washington State game.
Yes, so they're supposed. So according to Clay Helton in a press conference this morning in his usual presser, that USC should be getting more bodies back that missed the Washington State game. So that is a good situation. Also, Garforth should be back with he missed the I believe the Washington State game with a foot injury, but it looks like he'll be coming back. I think most of the offensive line will be coming back. They'll definitely be back for the UCLA game. So USC is starting to get healthy bodies coming back from contact tracing and from COVID. However, and you mentioned transfer portal as well. Huge and I want to say shocking news that Pelote Neoteote, USC starting middle linebacker, is entering the transfer portal. He missed, he missed a few games. He was in concussion protocol, as we talked about before. He had a cut on his head as well. So that was also a part of the injury from what we've noticed, but they haven't said why he's entering the transfer portal. There's nothing that came out to say why he's entering the transfer portal, but we do know USC is not going to do anything to his financial aid. So that means that they're trying to keep him. They're trying to keep him at USC. They're hopeful that he'll stay at USC. But right now, how the way it looks, he's entering the transfer portal, and it's really shocking, and it's an unknown to why. But that means there's something deeper, and I'm sure something deeper will come out here. It will come out here in the next few days or so.
Well, the transfer portal has certainly become a centerpiece of conversation and in personal changes across college football, and we can't really be too surprised because we don't know necessarily. We see it when there's a lack of playing time or an issue on the depth chart with a particular player moving on, but in this situation, that's not the case. Got Matt Lowry on the line from Conquest Chronicles on SB Nation. USC, UCLA, always a magical time of year in regards to college football rich traditions. The game against Washington State was an eye opener for me for USC. Not that Washington State's a great team, but they had played capably against Oregon. They beat Oregon State, and USC just came out and just dominated the game and just were too fast, too electric. The defensive backs just clamped down on the Washington State passing game. The defensive line put pressure on the quarterback. It was just from the time that Washington State drove down the field in the first quarter and didn't convert a 4th and 1, and that was a questionable call in regards to a neutral zone violation against USC. Past that, the Trojans just, 35-0 before you could blink. And of course, Ross St. Brown had a big part in that with 4 touchdowns.
Yes, he did. And, a lot of people already call him the best wide receiver in the Pac-12 right now. One of the best wide receivers in the nation. Now, it can't be said based off of how many games that's been played and compared to everyone else, but he showed out this last week or not last week, but on Sunday. He really showed out. And USC, as you mentioned it, USC looked completely different. I think it was 28-0 in the first quarter. So it was something where USC was playing inspired football. It was, this was the USC that we wanted to see. This was the USC that people were expecting to see against Arizona. This was the USC that people wanted to see against Arizona State. This is who people wanted to see with this USC team. And at the right time, if this is where they're hitting, if they're hitting on all cylinders at the right time, they are truly a dangerous football team. And I mean, especially right now, they're in a win and you're in situation with UCLA. If they beat UCLA, they get into the Pac-12 title game, and then you await to see who you play in the North. Do you play Washington? Do you play Oregon? You know, who are you going to play in the North? So it's one of those wait and see situations if they win. Now, again, with all this talk about with Colorado and USC and everything like that, I think for USC, the biggest thing is they have to block that out and just focus on winning this game, especially against UCLA, who look pretty scrappy in their games. They just beat Arizona State, which it went down to the wire. And again, UCLA's defense looked pretty good. You know, they look pretty good. Again, this is going to be a scrappy UCLA bunch, but USC at the same time, they have to have that same energy. You know, we've seen games where they have this energy against one team, and then next game they fall flat. So USC, this is where we're going to see if this is truly a thing where it's consistent, because this is the second game they did that. They did this against Utah as well. And I think it's a positive sign that they played well against Washington State.